a motion to approve?
I'll make the
Motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
I'll support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in order, all those in agreement, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay, we'll move down to agenda item 8A1 is public hearing. Sorry, I was looking at my screen and I was like, wait a minute.
We screwed it up.
All right, 8A1 is public hearing and request to adopt Resolution 25.16 regarding the Rossman Park Neighborhood CDBG Grant.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few slides I'd like to go over with the council. This was discussed with council previously on our need to do infrastructure improvements in Rossman Park. About a month ago, the city was made aware of a grant opportunity through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, specifically their Community Development Block Grant. It's a water-related infrastructure grant. We can apply for up to $2.5 million to improve the water infrastructure in this neighborhood. The grant is due May 30th. We will know if we received the grant by June 20th, and then the project needs to be done by December 31st of 2027. We are coupling this project with what I'm going to call a total infrastructure project for this neighborhood, so all roads, sewer, and water. As I mentioned in the staff report last Wednesday, we had the fortunate experience of having the state of Michigan deposit an additional $721,000 of local community stabilization funds into our bank account here at the city. That makes it possible for us to pay for all the roads in this neighborhood with that funding, including some roads in the downtown area as well. This total project is $9.592 million. As with all CDBG grants, we have to have what's called a public hearing at the beginning for the submission of the grant. This allows the funding decision makers know that we engaged the public, gave them a chance to comment on the application. We will be applying for $2.5 million to address the underground utilities. What you see on the screen there is a sanitary pipe. I feel we need to do a better job of telling the story of our critical infrastructure, and it's failing. These pipes are close to 80 years old in this neighborhood. What you are seeing there are not hairline cracks. You are seeing crevices in our pipes. This is a sanitary pipe. So when sanitary waste goes down that pipe, it is finding the path of least resistance and making its way through those cracks and into the environment. We have to fix our pipes. This is 5th Street in this neighborhood. If you were attending any of the citizen meetings when we were talking about the budget, or community meetings when we were talking about the budget a month ago, you would hear me rattle off all the streets that are part of that 6-year plan. This is 1/2 block of one of those streets. I don't think I need to add arrows showing where this street is failing. The picture kind of speaks for itself. Abin Marsh put this map together. Abin Marsh is our engineer of record. They are who we work with on all of our projects in the city of Allegan for probably the past 10 years. What you see here is the various streets, the various improvements we need to make. Water main replacement is purple. Water main, with no proposed improvements is blue, which is that area along Hooker at the top of the screen. And then we get into our sanitary proposed linings and sanitary proposed replacement and sanitary no proposed improvements where the sanitary line is still in good condition. So a council member asked us before, when we do these projects, do we ever, look for ways to save money by not replacing stuff that still has some useful life? And so the answer is yes. We do. We don't just go willy-nilly and replace everything. If we can extend life, we extend life. The total cost is $9.529 million for this project to happen. Water fund is gonna contribute 4.191 million, sanitary fund's gonna contribute 4.622 million, and the street fund is gonna be 779,000. As I mentioned in the staff report, typically, when you do infrastructure projects, the best management practice is a third, a third, a third. Water pays for a third, sewer pays for a third, and then your general fund, your street funds, pays for the remaining third. Due to the narrowness of these streets, we're able to get water and sewer to pay for most of the street reconstruction. We've done some value engineering in this program where we are not replacing sidewalks unless they are critical to the utility. So if the utility requires if the replacement of the utility requires the removal of the sidewalk, then we are replacing that sidewalk with the utility funds. But we're not doing a complete streetscape project in this neighborhood. We're taking care of just the critical infrastructure. Any questions on this program? So this is yes.
Is the proposed budget include this project in it for the water and sewer funds?
So the proposed budget you'll be voting on tonight does not include this project. This project was planned for 2027, I believe it was. And the budget you're voting on tonight was focused on the downtown. We will be doing a budget adjustment if we receive the grant after June 20th. We will tell you that our water and sewer rate planning does cover the cost of the bond that we'd have to take out for water and sewer.
That's the next question. Is this a bonded project or just all cash, or just the road surface is cash?
The road is cash, the water and sewer will be bonded.
Okay. Because I was just looking at the proposed budget for 2027, and I don't see any real change in the water and sewer fund balance. And I wanted to know how that's gonna affect that balance, if we're gonna affect it much, and how much are we gonna be bonding on this?
So tonight we'll just be holding a public hearing and submitting and approving the resolution, which allows us to apply for that grant. At your June 9th meeting, we'll be going into greater detail about the program financing and how this all affects and get you guys ready for that first budget adjustment after the new fiscal year.
Anyone have any other questions? Did you get all yours answered?
Yeah, and I see later we talk about the same funds.
Yep,
For the other roads. And
for
that's-
Walnut, yeah.
So that's also cash only?
Yep.
So that 760 is being split or
Yep,
or proportion to the two different projects?
including using major street fund balance and local street fund balance. It's close to $2 million in cash that we'll be using to improve the roads where the water and sewer fund cannot cover the road reconstruction.
If we don't get the $2.5 million grant, that added money from the state, will that change our thinking at all on abolishing the program, or?
If we do not receive that $2.5 million, as of tonight, staff's comfortable that our water rate and sewer rate projections can cover both this project and the downtown project we discussed.
Okay.
But then again, just to be clear, tonight you are not approving the project, you are only approving, and what you're really approving in the resolution is you're identifying Joel Dye, the city manager, as the certifying officer for the environmental review, which is a federal requirement that someone's name has to be on the line or their neck has to be on the line to say that we did the environmental review correctly. And it's usually your highest ranking appointed official, which is me.
So in the future, when we decide on this, I'm assuming we will have those projected
Yes.
budget changes and
Yep,
projected
we'll share all
bonding.
that stuff. Hopefully at the June 9th meeting is when
June
we'll
9th.
be doing that.
Fine.
I don't see anybody else with anything. All right. This does require a public hearing?
Correct.
All right. Okay, it is 6:11. I will open up the floor for a public hearing for anyone who has any comments on this. All right. I do not see anyone coming forward for this public hearing, so I will close the public hearing. Okay. All right, we will move down to agenda item number.
We need a
oh,
motion
sorry.
to adopt the resolution, please.
Sorry, I just was backing myself up.
That's all right, you're good.
All right, can I get a motion to adopt resolution 25.16 regarding the Rossman Park CDBG?
I will make that motion.
All right, the motion has been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Now we'll move down to agenda item number 9, which is the first of our 2 public hearings or public comments. If you have any comments that you would like to share, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and we do limit them to 3 minutes just so everyone can have a turn. And we have our first one, Mr. Birkin.
Thank you, honorable council people. I'm Ray Birkin. I live on Riverside Drive, 304 Riverside Drive. I've been there for quite a few years now. And I'm here to request that the city do a survey of the elevations of the sewer system that was installed about 4 years ago. I have personally spent thousands of dollars redoing my entire system, my sewer system, inside and out of my home for several years of backups and problems that I have experienced. I'm having backups still to this day, and I don't want to invest a bunch of more of my money trying to correct a problem that may not be mine. After many complaints on my part and investigation, it was found that the sewer lead from my property line to the new sewer line was actually going uphill. Well, wastewater does not flow uphill. It needs to have a slope downhill to flow, okay? So the line, that line was replaced and it was lowered some. I was told that it's now flat, which is, to me, is not acceptable. And so I'm not satisfied with that. With the future of the addition of the new subdivision on the Girl Scout property, because I know you're gonna be talking about that today, I was concerned about the new mains and their elevations and how much slope is actually in the mains. We have as-built drawings, and I'm not convinced that the as-built drawings are to the specifications and the elevations that show on the drawings. So I would like to see a survey done on the elevations of all these lines that go behind my house on Walnut Street. I viewed the drawings with Doug the other day, and all the as-built numbers are there, but I'm not convinced that they're correct. So that's what I'm requesting at this point, and that's all I have about that. I would like to give kudos to Doug and the Water Department for all their efforts on the Wellhead Protection Program. It's a great program, and I hope that some of you know about it and support it. So that's all I have to say, I believe. Under 3 minutes. It was under 3 minutes.
I'm Stephen Small, 116 Walcott. A couple of things. I noticed the contractor there at Mahan Park. Is there any, on bidding for city projects, is there any, I'm trying to think of the word, favoritism towards local contractors? I mean, do local contractors get a break on these bids? I mean, are we looking to hire local contractors, or are you just simply going low bid for projects? Talk to me.
We don't do answer and question during public comment, but everything is open to anyone.
Okay, so it's low bid. Anyway, my problem is I noticed that contractor is using a concrete ready-mix company out of Plainwell instead of using Monders. And I noticed, I think Milbacher has used, or maybe it's one of their subs, but Milbacher's usually pretty good about using local contractor. And again, all these vehicles that the city, the police department used, I don't know where they were purchased, but we have a Ford dealer right in Plainwell that I know that's not local to Allegan, but it would be nice if we were spending some money locally. I have no idea where these trucks came from. So, that's my other thing. Now, the big thing, the Girl Scout property. Currently, there's 18 houses in that neighborhood, and y'all just listen to Ray have trouble with his, sewage draining properly. And if we add, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 38 houses in this proposed project. If we can't handle 5 houses on that sewer, I don't know how we're gonna handle an additional 38. And personally against this project, just because I really feel it's gonna ruin our neighborhood. Again, like Rossman Park, we have very narrow roads there. Some of the roads do not have sidewalks. A lot of children in that neighborhood play in the street. As a matter of fact, my own grandkids, I've lived in that neighborhood for 35 years. And when Hayworth was there, we'd have 30 people walking around there in the neighborhood, at lunchtime. So I'd like to see that continue, but I'm afraid with an extra 30-some houses, the traffic's gonna be too heavy. And those roads are so narrow, if you meet a car in certain places, one of you is gonna have to get up on the grass to let people go by. And I don't wanna see that changed as well, but again, against this project, but it is what it is. Thank you.
Matthew Pivovar, 329 Monroe. I just wanted to draw your attention and maybe have somebody do a little investigation on the safety of the new railings that were put in on the boardwalk. You've got a splash pad about 30, 40 feet away from the new section that they just put in, which is about 2 feet high. So you've got all the toddlers at the splash pad. Took my 2-year-old over there. He can climb that fence, he can go underneath that fence. It's just not appropriate for small children to have that fence over the water and have it only be slightly above my knees. So I just don't think anybody's looked into it yet.
Matthew. All right. Is any other public comment? Okay, I am seeing none. All right. All right, I'm gonna move down to, I wanna go back. Can I, Joel? Can I ask about the railings? If there is not if this is a safety concern?
Is that the fishing pier?
Yeah, so real quick, that is a requirement through the grant we got from the state for ADA fishing accessibility.
Oh, okay, so it's
So
that
it's somebody
bump
that,
out?
yeah, it's that bump out I believe you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, so that the state of Michigan requires that everyone have equal access to recreation opportunities. So if you're in a wheelchair, you should be able to enjoy fishing just like someone who's not in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but if somebody falls off that won't be a defense for the
That's
city.
not a
It's not a defense. They'll say that you have to comply both with safety guidelines for the toddlers.
Understood.
And the
It's-
ADA.
Understood. It's designed in the specs that's required by the state in the
Yeah.
building code.
And it seems like there should be some way of, I don't know if putting in a guardrail that somebody that is in a wheelchair could with a lever put up and put down, so that it's not
Yeah,
always
I don't-
at a low height.
yeah, but
I'm
thank you
just-
for bringing
yeah,
it
I'm
to
just
our
saying
attention
It's
if
definitely a
it's-
concern.
yeah.
Because when I was there this weekend, there was a lot of kids there at the splash pad, and any one of them could have flipped right over that railing.
All right, well, I would hope also that parents are watching if it's per state guidelines. All right, okay, we'll move down to 11A, city boards, commissions, and area agencies. 11A1 is a review of the May 2025 Downtown Development Authority minutes, and I was at that meeting. I did have to leave early, so I hopefully didn't miss too much. I think at the end, we were going to, Nicole Heslip was going to talk about some of her marketing ideas. But prior to, myself having to leave early, Parker gave an update on the downtown, different projects we have going on. And really, that's all we got through. I don't know if we missed, what I missed, Parker, sorry. Put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. I'm scrolling to where I should be on my end. But yeah, our co-chair, Nicole Heslip, presented some of her thoughts and ideas on marketing outreach for our upcoming budget through the DDA was the majority of the second half of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? All right. Okay, move down to 11A2 is a review of the May 2025 Public Spaces Commission meeting, or minutes, and Councilmember Canales.
Thank you. Yeah, so we basically talked about the Living History Tour, which is going on this weekend. So if anybody wants to check out some interesting history in Allegan, they should go check that out. Talked extensively about green burial, which we're going to be going over a lot more later today. And we also got a hint that we might be having some good news about the crumbling entry gate, but they only hinted at that and said we'll have more news on that next month. So
good.
that's what I have.
All right, thank you. All right, 11A3 is a review of the May 2025 Allegan Wellhead Protection Plan Committee minutes, and we have Doug Swiris.
Yeah, covered a few items that have been done already and what is coming up. One of our goals this year was to search out, find, and eventually get plugged abandoned wells that are in the wellhead area. I've been placing ads in the local paper every week, asking people to call me with abandoned wells that they may know of anywhere in the area, actually. Two of them were located in our wellhead area and were properly plugged and abandoned. And then there was three other ones that I referred to the county health department for abandonment. We then covered what we're going to be doing at Bridge Fest coming up. We will have two booths, one with information on source water, wellhead protection. We have a display showing source water. It'll be operating with water in it, pumping water around through it. We can show contamination in it. That'll be on display. We'll have coloring books to hand out, watering bottles, and hopefully what goes over big this year, we have T-shirts that can be colored. We will have fabric markers, and we'll have tie-dye kits, so you can make your own how you want it.
Nice.
We have sizes from toddlers up through adults, so kids of all ages can partake in that. There'll also be, other brochures and stuff there. We then finally discussed application to the Eagle for another grant for the wellhead protection coming up for next year, and what would be, sought with that grant. A lot of the same, lot of education, outreach materials, and such.
All right, thanks, Doug. Anyone have any questions, comments to Doug? All right.
Mayor, is there a council member assigned to the Wellhead Committee? Is there a council member that wants to be part of the Wellhead Committee?
When do they meet?
They meet,
We meet,
please come to the podium, Doug. You know the rules.
Is it like once a quarter?
we meet once a quarter. Typically, it is a Wednesday afternoon, sometimes a Thursday afternoon, depending on scheduling. We're required to meet once a quarter. Usually, each year that we're at Bridge Fest, we meet once, an additional that quarter before Bridge Fest to get our ducks in a row.
I'll do it. Sign me up.
All right. I will add you to my
All right,
list.
thanks, Doug. Okay. 11D.1 is a request to approve a PO to Prein and Newhof in the amount of $2,425 for design and engineering services at Padgham Field Airport.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to handle all the reports under the Department of Public Works this evening. In front of you tonight is a purchase order from Prein and Newhof for $2,425. We need to contract with them to do the design and engineering services to resurface the runway at Padgham Field Airport. In a similar fashion, how we do a PACER rating on our streets throughout the city, we rank them, 10 great, 1 failing. MDOT ranks runways, and they did a survey of our runway, and they said, we're not sure how it got to this condition this quick in their system, but it's at the point where it needs to be resurfaced, and if we don't resurface it now, it's going to be a complete reconstruction in a couple years. So working with MDOT and the FAA, we are going to elevate that project or escalate that project in our 5-year CIP at the airport. This is an expensive project for engineering, $97,000, but the city, which is the sponsor, our share is only 2.5%, which is $2,425. The federal government covers the super majority of design costs. When it's a construction, the federal government covers 90%, the state covers 5%, and the city will have to cover 5%. But we do need to have council authorize this contract.
Being this is for maintenance, or this is maintenance, what about the actual construction? This is the engineering, the construction is just gonna be the 90-10 rule?
The 90-10 rule is what the construction will be, that will be in next year's budget.
Sounds good.
All right, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
All right.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any other questions, discussion on this item? You're good, Peter. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Moving down to 11D2 is a request to approve a PO to West Michigan International in the amount of $102,335.29 for the purchase of an international cab and chassis design and engineering services. What?
That was a typo.
What? I'm just reading what's
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, don't read the screen.
All right. I won't read this screen.
Put a period after chassis.
Okay. All right, period. End of sentence.
Yes. I think Councilmember Hooker caught with the mistake. It was copy and paste in the previous slide. So again, this is a purchase order. In the upcoming budget, we have planned for the purchase of a cabin chassis to replace one of our dump trucks out at the DPW. However, if we make the order after June 1st, it will be a 15% addition to that $102,000. So we need council to approve this purchase tonight. It will be a budget transfer in this current budget, but the money's gonna be available July 1st. So we don't incur that extra $15,000 and some dollars, $15,200 on this cost. And then when this is delivered, which will be delivered later this year, we then will be bringing a separate purchase order to city council to purchase the actual dump truck portion, the bed portion, and the underbelly blade to plow the streets to be added to this vehicle. This is just the cab and the chassis. Any questions for staff?
The older unit that'll be retired, is that going to be in,
Yeah, typically, I don't know off the top of my head on this one, there's two ways they typically work well. When we purchase a new vehicle, sometimes as part of the agreement, there's a trade-in value, and we could trade them in. Other times, we just declare them as, we have city council declare them as surplus, and then we go to, it's escaping me, the bid, Meetema auction. Or Orbit bid. We go to one of those two bid things, and we just put it out for bid, and we receive costs.
Any other questions for staff? Everybody's okay. Can I get a motion?
make a motion to approve the purchase order of West Michigan International for $102,000.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. All right, I'm afraid to read the screen now.
This one's correct.
Okay. All right, 11D3 is a request to approve a PO to AECOM in the amount of $29,812 for engineering a hydraulics evaluation of the city dam.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2024, the city was awarded a $1 million grant from Eagle to make improvements to our city-owned dam just here in the downtown. As part of those improvements, we must pull a permit from Eagle for this construction work to take place. As part of that permit, we must conduct a hydraulics evaluation of the proposed construction, what the impact is going to be on the dam before Eagle will issue that permit. AECOM was the original designer/engineer for the dam project when we talked about removing the dam, and they designed this plan for for these sheet walls to go in, so it only makes sense that we continue to work with AECOM to conduct the hydraulics evaluation.
Is there any questions for staff? No. All right, can I get a motion to approve PO to AECOM?
Make a motion.
Support.
All right, we have a motion that has been supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. 11D4 is a request to approve a green burial in Oakwood Cemetery and adopt the proposed rules and procedures.
I'll go ahead and take this one. I'll also invite Jeff Morey, who's in the audience. He's our Assistant Director of the Department of Public Works, to the podium. And that way he can answer any questions that the council may or may not have. Yeah, so green burial is an eco-friendly practice, a natural practice where folks who may choose to be buried naturally, that involves no embalming fluids, no vaults. It's simply body in the ground. There are some containers that can be placed around the body. They have to be biodegradable. That would be something like cardboard, wicker, or another type of basket, some sort of shroud, but no man-made materials. This particular area in the southeast corner of Oakwood Cemetery is the recommended area by staff for use of this practice. We haven't surveyed or plotted this area yet until we have the go-ahead from council, but just based on some estimates, we think this area can serve between 850 and 900 graves. There is room in this particular area for expansion if the desire is there from the public for more green burial spaces. Let's see. Yeah, we are pretty confident that this practice can be adopted by the city without any additional overhead, no extra tools or materials or staff members needed. It would be follow the same process in which our normal burial process takes place, and we recommend starting this at the same price point as our regular traditional burials. But this has been a topic that's been a point of conversation at the Public Spaces Commission for quite a while now, as Councilmember Canales knows, being a member of the Public Spaces before getting a seat on the City Council. So, and Mayor Perigo, also even when you were on Public Spaces Commission some years ago, it was a topic of conversation then.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad to see it finally.
yeah.
Finally coming together. I appreciate your guys' efforts on that. Yeah. Any questions of staff?
Only a couple. City's gonna maintain a good record of burial locations since the markers aren't gonna be obviously easy to find.
Yeah.
GPS location, something if later somebody needs to be exhumed,
Yeah.
we know where they're at.
Correct. It'll follow essentially the same process that we do now on the back end. Like you said, Mayor Pro Tem Hands, each grave site won't necessarily be marked as they are now in a traditional burial site. Markers are allowed in a green cemetery section, but they have to be natural markers, so something like a piece of driftwood or a stone, or something that's flat to the ground also. And then it's just up to the family members to maintain those, so eventually earth might, win and cover up a stone or a rock or a piece of wood that's there. But again, it's low to no maintenance in this area, so everything will become overgrown, but on the back end, as far as the paperwork and stuff goes, it'll be cataloged the same way our other sites are.
And then the only other thing I see in the rules, the containers, untreated wood, wicker, shrouds made of cloth, blankets, quilts, bamboo, but it doesn't say that the cloth has to be organic or has to be natural fiber.
Yeah.
So I might want to add that into the cloth as well, because they could be using a poly or whatever, and that's not supposed to be allowed,
Right.
going by what you're trying to propose.
Yep, yeah, we can amend that easily. Sure.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Cool. Thank you, Councilmember Canales, for helping to push this one over. And of course, staff's time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, can I get a motion?
I will propose a motion to move green burial forward.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Moving down to 11E1 is approval of accounts payable and payroll. And Mayor Pro Tem Hance.
It is requested that the city council approve accounts payable in the amount of $356,098.04 and payroll in the amount of $126,433.67 for a total disbursement of $482,531.71.
Can I get a support, please?
Motion to approve. I just usually wait to make sure if anybody has any
Yeah, no.
questions.
Support.
All right, is there any questions now that we have a motion on the table? No? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No? Motion passes. All right, 11E2 is review of April 2025 revenue and expenditure report. Do you have anything
Yeah, so
there
this is the,
presenting?
this is the monthly report we provide you at the second meeting of each month, showing our revenues and expenditures for the previous month. So if you have any questions, you can always just email us, but this is just us being transparent with both city council and the public, since our packets are posted on our website, showing you where our money's coming from and where it's going.
Does anyone have any questions they want to bring up here?
Actually, I have one. And I'm sorry, this goes back to our current expense report. Just a question, Warner, Norcross, and Judd, a different legal firm, what do we use them for?
Yeah, Warner Norcross Judd is our labor attorneys. So we have Nick Curcio Law Firm, which is our general corporate counsel. W&J Warner Norcross Judd we use for our legal or labor issues. We utilize Dickinson Wright for all bond related legal matters. We utilize Ingbrink or something like that for our environmental. What was that? Enright we use for our environmental issues with the Water Utilities Department. And then McClellan we use, or McEwen? Yeah, McEwen we use for prosecuting, issues.
Okay.
So we have a handful of relationships with different firms.
Gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions, comments from council? All right, seeing none, I will move down to agenda item 11E3, which is a request to adopt resolution 25.15 to adopt the FY2026 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. At your previous meeting, we had the public hearing regarding the budget. No individual spoke. The draft budget has been in your hands now for 2 weeks after several months of review and discussion over the various components. The resolution that you're going to be adopting this evening covers our 10-year CIP, our fee schedule, approved vendors, the council goals that are in there, and then a projection of revenue and expenditures. I will let you know that in front of you is an updated resolution that was not included in the packet. If you recall, the staff report mentioned that we were still waiting on what's called the Truth in Taxation reports from the County Equalization Department, which would let us know what the Headley Amendment's impact would be on our millage rate. Our charter allows us to tax up to 17 mills, but through the Headley Amendment and Prop A, that has been reduced each year due to growth of property taxes. Last year, we were at 16.3680. We just got the paperwork today. Our maximum millage rate can be 16.1306, which is a 1.45% decrease from what we were projecting in the millage rate. So we just wanted to be clear that the resolution you're adopting today shows that new millage rate of 16.1306 and not the 16.380 that was in the packet or is on the screen in front of you. The budget also includes a sewer rate increase of 1.5%, a water rate increase of 8%, with the average resident seeing a monthly increase of $3.50 a month to their combined utility bill. We are still projecting our total revenue to be around $20,911,852, and our expenditures, because we have to do a balanced budget, will equally be $20,911,852. Any questions for staff through this whole process as it relates to that budget?
Well, okay, now with the new millage rate, but our packet had the old one, or,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes, the packet showed that 16.3680,
so what's the impact then?
1.45%. One thing I will remind council, your budget, it's a planning document. It's not an exact document. You're not wiring an air conditioner where if you screw up the wiring, you're gonna blow up the AC unit. We do budget adjustments 4 different times throughout the year. We do first quarter budget adjustments, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. So there will be a reduction in revenue that what we're projecting, but nothing along the lines that would be alarming or concerning or would stop what we're doing.
So, okay, so but the 1.45%, can we put a number to that?
Tracy, can you do that?
Is that possible?
I can, it's just gonna take me a minute to pull up my spreadsheet and calculate that out.
Any other questions as the finance director works on that number for you?
I mean, I would think it's, well, I think it's something we should at least be aware of, what the actual number is. Okay, that's all.
No one else has any other questions?
If it's okay with council, as she's looking, as the finance director is looking for that number, and there's no other serious questions that would hold up the approval of this resolution, we can continue with the agenda, and I can bring that number back to you at the end of the agenda and the communications from the city manager, if that's okay with you.
To adopt that resolution?
No, you adopt it
Is that
now.
what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying now is you can move forward with adopting the resolution.
Okay.
And I can just share what that number is.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
So we're not adopting the full budget.
No, you'd be adopting the full budget.
Oh, okay, well,
Okay, if you want to wait for for us to give you that number, we can wait. That's okay. My phone also doesn't know what that number is off the top of my head.
no. And then, Madam Mayor, I think we should at least, even if it's $1,000, whatever, which it won't be, but even if it's smaller, I think we should at least
We can.
talk about the impact on this budget then, because it's been under such scrutiny.
Right, sure, we can wait.
It's less than $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're in your budget and you're looking at it on page 39, it shows the graphs. Property taxes is $2,996,000. So,
What was that, 1.45?
All right.
Yep,
Sorry I made you do that.
no, that's fine.
That's good, okay.
That's why we're here.
you can overturn every stone you want. We're an
That's
open
good.
book at City Hall.
All right. Any other questions before I ask for a motion? No? Okay, can I get a motion to adopt resolution 25.15?
I make a motion to adopt resolution. I make a motion to adopt resolution 25.15.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. We've got Mayor Pro Tem Hans and Councilmember Westover. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. 11E4 is a request to adopt Resolution 25.17 to authorize a TEDF-B Grant Application to fund the Walnut Street Improvement Project.
Thank you, Mayor. As I've shared with council on multiple occasions, we go fishing for grants all the time. Our ear is close to the ground. Abbenmarsh, our engineer of record, their ears are close to the ground. And whenever something comes up as a potential opportunity for the city, we go for it. So TEDF is Transportation Economic Development Fund, Category B, which is small community, which the city of Allegan qualifies as. It's a grant through MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, to fund street projects. So earlier in this evening, we talked about a water-related. This is a street-related project. Walnut Street is one of our worst streets in the city. There is a picture of it on the screen. If you don't get the chance to drive down it, feel free to drive down it, walk down it, bike down it. You can see what we mean by when we say it's a bad street. The total project cost is $672,000. The eligible road portion is $376,000. The water cost, because there is a water main in there, is $296,000. This grant application is something that we're comfortable in applying for, mostly because we have the cost already calculated out through our 6-year plan. It didn't take much effort to throw this stuff together, but we do need a resolution from City Council adopting this, saying that the city is willing to commit $173,530 to this project if we receive the funding.
I will make a motion that we adopt Resolution 25.17.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion amongst council? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. All right, we're going to move down to 11E.5 is a request to approve an amendment to the Property Due Diligence Agreement for the Girl Scout property.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to handle most of this presentation this evening. I do have the developers in the audience this evening as well. If you have questions specifically of the developers, they're here to answer any questions that you may have. You will recall that it was this council in December 2024 that approved a 6-month due diligence agreement with the Allegan Development Company to investigate the potential development of the Girl Scout property. They have completed their investigation and they're interested in moving forward with entering a purchase and development agreement with the city. The due diligence agreement was 6 months. That expires in a few days here, so we would need to extend that this evening for 2 months to allow us to put that purchase and development agreement together. They are recommending that, they purchase the land from the city for $100,000. We reached that purchase price through discussions with city staff and a local realtor. In your packet was the proposal concept that was shared. So I'm going to just go through these screens here to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Just a reminder, the Girl Scout property is city-owned land that is west of the Riverside Wolcott Highland neighborhood. The plan is for 38 units, 26 condos, 12 townhomes. This is your development costs. You can see the highlighted line there being land development of $100,000. Total development cost is estimated at $1.6 million. That means it's about $43,000 per unit for development costs. You can see what a projected sale price would be there, the build cost, subtract the development cost, and that's what your per unit net would be on each property. It's just over 14 acres, but really only 5 of those acres are able to be developed. As part of this project and process, both with this developer and a previous developer, some things we heard was preserving some green space, but also preserving green space in such a way that it is accessible to the public. So we were able to work with the Allegan Conservation District, and they are tentatively willing to accept the lower portion of this land as a nature area, which we'll explain in a couple of slides. Challenge with developing this is it's a challenge that we've heard with a lot of development in the city. You know, our taxes are higher, which usually results in lower home sales. Sales in the townships usually go a little quicker than they do here. Lower opportunity for rental development as well can be a thing. And this is where the opportunity of introducing some type of walking trail and outdoor learning lab with trails, benches, interpretive signs down at the bottom. I've been working with Brian Tolsma, the executive director at the Conservation District, and their board is anxious to receive news on this. They keep asking me, you know, when can we start planning something out here? And I'm like, well, we're still in the starting blocks. So we're not out running the race yet. So, any questions from council? As I mentioned, the developers are here. If you have questions of the developers, they can come up to the podium as well, introduce themselves, and answer questions as needed.
Anyone have any questions?
I do. Is there any clause if you get into the project and it doesn't work out?
Yeah. So that's be part of the development agreement that we come up with. In the reports, Councilmember Walker, you would have saw the projected term sheets. I believe that would have been the first attachment, or no, that would have been the third attachment in your thing, the term sheet. We have opportunities for the construction timeline, construction delay remedies, bonding requirement is in here. So, yeah, there's opportunities for the city to claw that back, you know, if we run into an issue where they don't satisfy the development agreement. And this term sheet has been shared with the developers.
Tonight, we're not approving the term sheet currently, correct?
Correct. Tonight, you are only, yeah, so when I talk to, as you guys all know, I like to go fast. I am a quick decision maker. When I reached out to the city attorney saying, hey, you know, the due diligence expires in June, next council meeting's in 10 days, can we get this purchase and development agreement? Nick was the one that said, okay, Joel, let's just slow down a little bit. Let's get them to extend the due diligence agreement for 2 months. Let's share what the term sheet is so the developers have time to respond to it and digest it. And that's where we are tonight. But that's why it's important that you guys read your packets, digest your packets, because that term sheet is in there. So you guys have an understanding of what the end goal is from the city's perspective.
Does that satisfy your questions?
Just fine.
All right. Anyone else have any questions? No? Okay. Oh, I was thinking Councilmember Hooker might have had something. Okay. Can I get a motion then to approve an amendment to the property due diligence agreement?
Motion to extend the due diligence?
Okay.
Is it 2 months or?
Correct, yeah. In the packet, that due diligence agreement is the second attachment to your report, and it is for a 2-month period. The period of exclusivity is extended for 2 months from the date of this amendment is fully executed, or until a purchase and development agreement for the parcels is approved and executed.
All right, so we have a motion. Can I get a support? Support. All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. All right. Moving down to 11E6 is a request to authorize staff to establish accounts with Givebutter to initiate community fundraising efforts in support of various city programs and projects.
So I'm going to handle this, and Parker can chime in as needed. This is an idea that's been kicked around the city for probably a year or two now. Public spaces wanted us to put little drop boxes out at the sports complex and other parks where people can drop in their loose change. City council asked staff to look into this idea a while ago. We met with some different online platforms And then I believe it was October, you received a presentation from Parker, or the previous council did from Parker, regarding Givebutter. Most recently with the community meetings about our budget. This was a reoccurring theme that we heard from the public saying, hey, we'll donate to the city, just tell us how. And so I decided to move this project to the top of our list and get it going. We're gonna start with just 6 areas, the Regent Theater, the Griswold Auditorium, Park Space, Community Events, Oakwood Cemetery, and Police Services. These are all what I would consider community institutions, but only the city pays for them. So this gives an opportunity for the at-large community to donate. And, you know, as they said they would willing to donate during those community meetings. This is what I think is the most affordable one, where we aren't paying a monthly subscription fee. It's just a straight processing fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. And either the person can cover that charge, like I typically do when I donate at a lunch fundraiser, banquet fundraiser kind of thing, or, you know, it would come off the donation amount that comes to us. So if someone donates $25, the total fee is $1.25. And so the city would pay that. So we would be $23.99.75 is what we'd get instead of the full 25. I think this is a good way for us to put our toes in the water and kind of see, you know, is this something that's really, you know, going to bring in some additional funding for our community institutions. Any questions?
Does this include like a QR code that you'll be, like, so people can snap it when they're, okay, cool.
Are there minimums or maximums?
No.
Is it anonymous, or is it?
You know what, that's a good question. Obviously, we haven't gone through the process of like making a donation, so I'm not sure what that process is like. I know it's not, like, we're all familiar with, one thing is patronicity, which is what we used for our Mayhem Park, but what's the generic, like, online fundraiser? Thank you, GoFundMe. Everyone's familiar with GoFundMe except for me, apparently, where it shows who's donating. This isn't like we're trying to meet a goal, so it's not really going to keep track of those donors on that webpage. It's not going to show that Patrick Westover donated $5 to the parks or something like that. It'll just kind of be a pool that will be visible on the back end. So I don't know on the back end if it's there, you have that ability to be anonymous or not. But we can look
Most
into that.
platforms do have a box you can check, so like, I think you'll still know who it came from. but
Likely,
Sorry.
yeah.
But like any publications, it wouldn't show the person's name.
Right.
Kind of like when you look at a GoFundMe, you can check anonymous.
Except for it's a public record, so they could just request it.
True.
A couple questions. I like this idea. I've wanted this type of thing in the past. The biggest thing, though, is when we do this, I would prefer a lockbox style where, in order to get us to shift funds out of what that was dedicated to, it would require the city council to come back and vote on it. I'd prefer a supermajority lockbox, but that takes amending the city charter, because we can't hand tie future councils. Only other thing I could think on it was with the QR codes, we are gonna wanna make sure to check those periodically, because there is some people that fraudulently go out and paste over a new sticker and make a fake website that looks just like it, and they're donating to the wrong spot, so I'm gonna wanna keep an eye on that.
We can do that.
But other than that, I'm fine with this, but in the future, as we build this out and look at it more, I'd like to look at how we can make sure we can tell the people that are donating that it is for sure going to what they say, and we're not just shifting it around in our funds.
That
So,
they're
yeah,
designating
so-
it.
So what we can do to, you know, accommodate that, Peter, is I think we could bring forth some kind of written policy for city council to adopt that just kind of establishes the rules on how we receive this money and how we disperse this money. We can give council monthly reports. This much money came into parks, this much money came into, you know, the Griswold. I mean, that'd be more work for Tracy, which she enjoys, so we'll be good there.
Probably go into a revenue report anyways.
Yep, you'll probably see it, 'cause we don't have to have a line item for it. So I think those are all things that we can accomplish, and, you know, we should be transparent. I mean, if I give money to, you know, this, you know, the parks, I hope it's going to the parks and not the Regent Theater.
Right, that was what I wanted to make sure, that if I designate it's to Oakwood Cemetery, that it is going to Oakwood Cemetery. So, okay. Any other questions? All right, okay, I will move down to 11E.
Oh, we want you guys
sorry.
to
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm just moving
I
along.
kind of need approval to
I
create
see
funds.
that, yes, I see that, Joel. Can I get a motion to authorize staff to establish accounts with Givebutter?
So moved.
All right, support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. All right, 11E7 is a review of the Griswold Auditorium report.
I will go ahead and take this one. This one is not asking any action of the council. It's simply I know, I'm switching it up on you. It's simply a review. This is something that kind of comes up more or less every year at different councils for the Griswold. We just think it's good to kind of give you guys a report of what's happening at the Griswold and what we're looking forward to doing at the Griswold. So there's just kind of a brief overview of the Griswold itself. Our rental rate it gets restructured every few years. We think we have a pretty flexible rental rate. We have our standard weekday rates, and then we have weekend rates, which are a little higher. And then we've also got a nonprofit rate. It's 25% of the standard rate. And then, of course, we allow folks to come and petition the city council for free or reduced rates if they are not a 501c3. We kind of generally label those as community groups. There are a number of those groups that utilize the Griswold that aren't registered 501c3s, and so they do not automatically get that 25%. And so we ask that they petition the council, and that's when you get those visits and asks at the podium. We are currently in the midst of a pretty large capital improvement project. The roof over the front foyer was recently replaced, and crews are out there just today even doing window repair. There's some rot happening in the wood window frames, and so they are repairing those, repainting the window frames on every side of the building. There is tuck pointing that will be happening over the next month and a half. That's again on every side of the building, and repairs to the fire escapes along the building. Future capital improvement projects, the kind of things that we have hopes for, and they were included in your packet, include a new sign on the front lawn of the Griswold. You can see in this image here. The one that's currently there is in that bottom left-hand corner. It's just kind of a lock case, and it's got some plastic letters that might be older than me and don't really hold up too well and don't really look the greatest. And they're certainly not very easy to replace. So we are looking into the possibility of a digital LED sign that can promote events happening at the Griswold. This is a concert, a Luke Winslow King concert that took place in 2019 at the Griswold, used in this mock image. But it could also generally kind of advertise, rent this space, host your wedding here. And then we have the opportunity to post things like Bridge Fest, June 14th, Fork in the Road every Monday for city events. So this is one thing we're looking at, and then that one there. Here's just kind of a concept of the Marilla Lounge that Ryan Burza mocked up. You can kind of see that bay window on the right-hand side of the screen that faces Hubbard Street. And the idea here is, as we continue to host live events, live musical entertainment events, stand-up comedy shows, et cetera, that this can be a place where folks can come and purchase adult beverages. And then when someone wants to rent this room, we often have birthday parties, graduation parties, showers, receptions in this area. They've got a nice selection of tables and chairs, and they're not just the plastic folding tables and metal folding chairs that we have now. And then on that left-hand side of the screen is a concept idea for a low stage where we could have some more intimate music playing in this area when we don't have a large concert happening in the auditorium. The things that have happened so far at the Griswold this year, there's this notion that the building isn't used much, but we've hosted free concerts. There was the Cabin Fever Reliever Series in January, February, March, and April. That was in partnership with the Allegan chapter of the Kazoo Folklife Association. They offered those concerts for free. They paid for the musical entertainment to be there. And then the Downtown Allegan group, who puts on all of our events downtown, pulled a liquor license as they are a 501c3. And that was kind of their initial thing before the social district. That was why they were formed as such, was to be able to pull liquor licenses and use that as a fundraiser. And so that group served beverages and collected 100% of those sales for each of those free concerts. And then just recently, we partnered with the Allegan Area Arts Council to host the Wildwoods. They're a folk trio out of Nebraska. And same thing, the Arts Council paid for that band, paid for their lodging, paid for their rider, which included food, and allowed the Downtown Allegan group to pull a license and sell beverages as a fundraiser for our events. Probably our biggest, partnership was with the Lake Allegan Association a couple of summers ago. They hosted their big fundraiser. It was a Ryan Hurd concert, and it was a sold-out 600-person concert. And again, same sort of partnership. Downtown Allegan collected 100% of those proceeds. We've done the same thing with the Allegan Lions Club with their performance of Escanaba and the Moonlight, and we'll be doing that again this fall with them too. I mentioned stand-up comedy a minute ago when I was talking. We've got stand-up comics booked in November, and a number of other shows happening throughout the fall and winter season booked too. So, like I said, we just thought it was good to update you guys on what's going on there currently, what kind of we've got planned down the road, and if you guys have any questions for any of those things, feel free.
So real quick, I'm going to add just a few things. This is also our way of teasing you. As I have mentioned many times to council, my head is always on a swivel. We're always looking at the next thing. So that tuck pointing, the exterior work we're doing right now, I think we had a budget of $175,000 roughly over the 2 years. It's going to be about $137,000 when it's all said and done. So it's going to come in under budget of where we were. I want city council to spend the next month or so thinking about if there's improvements to the Griswold, where you think that money should go. We are planning on applying for a local grant to help with improvements to the Marilla Lounge. Most of you have been in the Marilla Lounge within the past 12 months. If you don't know it, the bar that's in there right now is not a bar. That is the top half of the desks that were at the old city hall. They're just hutches that we decided not to throw away. They're particle board.
You're shattering the illusion.
I know.
They look pretty good for what they are.
They look really good for what they are. The kitchenette that's in there is a 1950s style, nothing wrong with the 50s. Metal system where the refrigerator doesn't stay cold. There's an opportunity for us to spend a little bit of money and greatly improve that area. I think it was 5 years ago is when we removed the indoor-outdoor carpet that used to be on the floor in there when we used to have city council meetings, and by we, I mean Ryan Berza, removed the flooring, refinished the flooring, stained it all, on city staff time. And so we're trying to position that as a more, as Parker mentioned, intimate. I would throw in the words a little more classy. Councilmember Dieter, when you were on council the first time, there's some jazz ensembles and stuff that were pretty popular and could fill up the main floor at the Griswold Auditorium. But there's some, this is designed for 50 people, and you could do a nice, intimate Kitten and the Tonics could rent this out and have 50 people for a band, and that kind of a thing is what we're thinking here. So I just want you guys to marinate some of these ideas that Parker just threw out with, you know, improvements to the Marilla Lounge, this idea of a sign. Otsego just put in their sign on M89. That was 44 grand for their sign that they just put in on M89, which I think has 2 lines of words that you can get on their thing. So signage is expensive. The report identified what that signage was. It did make me swallow my tongue a little bit when Parker shared it with me first in an email. I think his email started, Joel, sit down before you read the next line. So, but it is, you know, something we can discuss. And I want us to continue to talk about how do we keep investing in, you know, our infrastructure. And I view both the Griswold Auditorium and the Regent Theater as infrastructure. And who knows, the previous agenda item, if that Givebutter thing takes off, we might get some more funding. This can also be eligible for another patronicity round since once we close out this one.
Now, there was a report for the Griswold of all the infrastructure. Could we get a copy of that as well? Because that's, of course, things that are,
Yeah.
there was like the boilers and there's,
Sure. So what Mayor Pro Tem Hands is referring to for the newer council members, that was done in 2021, I think. We hired Abin Marsh in the structural engineering department to do a building evaluation. And Parker's gonna make a note, and we'll email that out to
and
council.
if you just note in there what we've accomplished on that so far.
Yeah.
If there's things on there that we've already ticked off.
We can pull that up and, you know, let you know what we've done, what we haven't done. A lot of that stuff was some pretty significant capital improvements. And that's where we just need to prioritize the capital improvements for that building.
All right, thank you, Parker. All right, we're gonna move down to agenda item number 13, which is the second public comment portion of this evening. If you have a public comment, please approach the podium and state your name and address. If you have something new.
I'll complain some more.
Oh, I thought we were gonna,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay.
yeah,
This due diligence thing, there's a timeline put on those for a reason, and I'm wondering, is that hotel still in play? I mean, we put deadlines on these things to get people to do things, and if you continue to extend these deadlines, then you got something like this hotel that was proposed how many years ago? And I don't know if it's still in play or not. I haven't heard any talk about it lately, but anyway, that's disconcerting to me, but again, I just want to say, gentlemen, that's my neighborhood, and I love my neighborhood. Again, 30 years, you're going to hear from some other folks that have been there longer than me. And our big concern is it's going to change that neighborhood, and my thoughts are, I don't know if there's any speed limit signs up there or not, but I would like to propose like a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit through that neighborhood. And I hate speed bumps, but if that 15 mile an hour doesn't work, maybe a speed bump. I don't know. I'm serious, Joel. I mean, this is gonna screw up my neighborhood that I know and love and been there for years, and I'm not looking forward to one single bit. Just so everybody knows where I'm coming from.
My name is David Garvin. I live at 300 Riverside Drive. And I'd just like to say that, I think I speak for everybody in our neighborhood, that nobody is in favor of this. But also, nobody is against progress. But the thing is, when you've got narrow streets, questionable water and sewer service, I do not understand how council can approve, going ahead with this. There's been nothing checked out, nothing, there's no guarantees. And I think most everybody in our neighborhood is very disappointed in council and let the developer know that it's a very unpopular decision. Thank you.
Matthew Pivovar, 329 Monroe, except my family, excuse me, my family lives in the neighborhood by the Girl Scout shack. We've been there 60 years. The concern at the prior meetings was all about traffic coming through there. The street that they're gonna be coming in on averages about 10 cars a day. With that many units, 2 adults per unit, you're gonna have 100 cars per day on a street that's been averaging 10. Putting in the conservation district sounds good because it's more green space, but now you're pulling people from outside the neighborhood, turning it into public space. It's just additional traffic coming down the same one street. On that little street, there's 3 houses that run along there. The people that were at the prior meeting that said they were gonna move because of this development have moved. So people are moving out of the neighborhood because of the development. There's another house on that street that's up for sale now. People don't want that development in the neighborhood and they're willing to leave. So you're trying to bring people into Allegan. People are leaving Allegan because of the development.
All right, I don't see any other public comment. Moving down to agenda item number 14, communications from the city manager. Joel, anything?
Yep, just a few things. As council's well aware, I am a student of local government. I spend time watching other cities, reviewing their policies, how their council meetings occur and proceed and so forth. One I noticed, which might be helpful for us to consider during public comment. They start off the public comment by, what you mentioned this evening, Mayor, which is we don't engage. But then they say at the end of the meeting, our city manager will respond to comments. And so they make lists, and that way, there's some conversation or dialogue, so the audience feels they've been heard. So it's something to consider.
Reply to public comment after the meeting
Yeah,
or during the meeting is what they do?
During the meeting at the end, like
Okay.
right now, would be the opportunity. Something to consider. I saw it a few times in different cities, and it's like the NFL. If one team knows how to score more touchdowns, you should copy their offense.
All right.
Second thing, as I mentioned to City Council, last week, City of Allegan won Project of the Year from the American Public Works Association Michigan Chapter for our downtown. This is the second Project of the Year statewide award that we have won in the past 6 years. The one previous to this was for the second phase of our riverfront improvement that included the splash pad, the plaza, and the small parking area. So you are being recognized statewide for your investment in public places that brings the community together. And then the third thing for council and for the public, and this is being streamed, all of our city council packets are posted online, typically by Thursday before the meeting. All the staff reports, all the attachments are online, so you're able, as a member of council or the public, to really dive in and kind of see some of the sausage that staff is using to make the hamburgers, through this process. So feel free to, read the reports, reach out to staff. If you have any questions, City Hall is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. And we do take in lots of walk-in clients. And with that, thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 15 is roundtable discussion from council and mayor. Councilperson Zeter, anything for tonight?
Couple things. In my pondering over the last couple weeks, number one, I was thinking of Halloween coming up and decorations, and there's a lot of really good displays out there. And I was wondering if staff could get back to us at our next meeting about, would it be possible to hold a decorating contest for Allegan,
Do you mean citywide?
citywide?
Okay, like private yards.
Correct,
Okay, there's one house on Western that just does an amazing job.
yeah.
An amazing job. I mean, I'm blown away. I love walking by their house and taking in all the effort they put into it. Yeah, I think that's something we very much can talk about at the staff level and, have a larger discussion.
Yeah, And then to follow up on that, Christmas is rolling around in 30 weeks or so, and decorations for that would be the same thing. And there's different categories, there's animated, classy, just, if you could think about it and get back to us.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda for further discussion at the next meeting.
All right. Councilperson Westover?
I'm all set. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilperson Walker?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like, well, I'd like to address some of these things to make sure we don't forget about them. How can we go, well, should we have a discussion on an elevation? Should we put it on the next agenda? Should we
So
try-
so in your report, referring to the due diligence of Girl Scout, there was a memo from our water utilities director. That report was very clear that the system that's out there does work. Now, if there's questions about what's in the ground as compared to what the as-built are, which is what I heard from the property owner, I would say that is something, let staff talk about that, and we can, figure out how that process would work, and we'll bring something to you at the next meeting. Because I think that might be the issue, is what's in the ground different from what is shown on the as-bills? And we can have that conversation. Our water utility staff meeting occurs, this Thursday is our next one, I believe, so we'll put that on our staff meetings agenda for Thursday morning, and we'll bring something to you to your June 9th meeting
Okay,
for that one.
great.
Any other questions that you heard?
Well, then, I understand the railing issue. Joe, I understand the ADA, but I think there's the gap in the bottom, though, the way I heard it. Yeah. That should be outside of ADA, but too large of a gap for, can we direct someone to look at that?
Yeah, staff can look into that one as well.
Okay, thank you. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. Councilperson Canales?
Sure. This is really great. So I would like to thank all of staff, everybody, all you guys too, and the city manager, and all the previous councils. Not me, I didn't really help with this one. I just kind of watched it, it was pretty cool.
You're pretty vocal as a downtown resident.
I did what I could.
You're a supporter.
So, thanks, everybody, and I'm glad we got this. It's good recognition for all the work you guys have done. Thank you.
And anything else, Carl? No. Okay, Councilperson Hooker?
All I have is, so most people know, Councilmember Walker and I do a chat with council every month, but since we will have a table downtown during Bridgefest and sidewalk sales where council members will be available, we decided that that would be sufficient for June and July, so we will not host one again until August. So we'll let you know the date then.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Hans?
Nothing for me.
All right. Talking about Givebutter, a couple of meetings ago, we had a resident who came in and they had the signs and that they were, I don't want to say selling them, but they were $10 and that the money was going to our police department. Have they approached the city in any way? I just wondered where these funds are being held, if the city knows anything about that.
Nope,
Okay.
we have no, the corporate city has no information.
Okay, all right. My other question, and it came to mind tonight listening to the residents that surround the Girl Scout property. Was the city involved any when Southwest Michigan Conservancy went in? And in all transparency, I live in the neighborhood off of that. Our roads are very narrow. We don't have curbs. We don't have sidewalks. And that was one of the things that our neighborhood was concerned about with traffic and that. Was the city involved with any sort of traffic, I don't want to say studies or anything?
No, that is an allowed use. per
Okay.
the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
They did have to come to the planning commission for a site plan approval. I believe for the parking area is what it was. But beyond that, that was a complete community-led effort.
okay, I just wondered.
And by
'cause
community, I
yeah.
mean West Michigan
Yeah,
community, not
Yeah.
your neighborhood community, not Thomas Jackson
right, yeah, I know we
community.
receive things in the mail, but yeah, they have a large parking area for buses and things like that, so, okay, I was just curious on that, just came to mind. And then I had told, Mayor Pro Tem Hant, I will not be here at the June 23rd meeting, so just wanted to announce it so you guys all know, that I won't be here, I'll be out of state for that meeting. So, that is all that I have, so at 7:26, we will adjourn